In a world where change is the only constant, Choumil stands at the forefront, guiding title professionals to not just grow their businesses, but to master the art of innovation. With every episode, you're handed the keys to unlock unparalleled growth and stay ahead of the curve. Get ready for a transformative journey.
Hello and welcome to the Purpose Matrix. I'm Phil Moeller, your host, and I'm here today with Choumil. Mo, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, we admittedly have some technology issues, but we are past them, and this is going to be a great discussion, Mo. So I apologize for that, but we are off and running officially. So thank you for your patience. He has shown how good of a guy he is before the show already. So Mo grew up in Morocco, has a really interesting story about how he arrived and came to the U.S., but he's also going to talk about the foundational things he learned from his parents throughout our discussion during his upbringing. Founder of Alltech National Title Company, really a neat story of really a business that he has grown and scaled over time. We're going to talk about how he has done that. And just a good guy that likes to focus on continuous growth, always trying to get better himself and always trying to give back. So Mo, thanks so much again for coming on. And I want to hear your story a little bit more because you do have a really unique story and upbringing. So take us back into your childhood growing up in Morocco, what that was like and how that influenced who you are today.
It was literally a different world back then, like in the late 70s, early 80s. Morocco is a different country now. It clearly is becoming more and more affluent. So back then it was very simple. I grew up into a big family, about 6 of us, and kind of scarcity was everywhere. We if you didn't eat fast, you may end up the night hungry. Like really kind of a lot of us and with minimal means, so kind of really kind of was challenging going through it. But looking back, was probably is incredible kind of shaping how I've grown from literally just sharing shoes with my brothers to. Like literally, my dad was always an entrepreneur. Kind of just self-employed with an entrepreneur. He was a barber, then a cab driver. So literally, we ate and we lived by what he produced that day. Like literally, it's kind of day to day. But I was kind of this probably would kind of instill that entrepreneurship in my
I didn't know you were one of 6, which is also I'm one of 7. But having 2 boys now, Mo, sharing shoes I imagine you're outside running, playing all the time. The shoes get worn out like in 2 months on these boys. So I don't know how you shared shoes, but good for you. Maybe they made them better, or maybe you made them by hand or something. I don't know. But
there's a shoemaker, the market down the street for like whatever, like it's say 10 cents. They'll patch them up. There's holes in the bottom. That was the way to kind of make them last longer.
Yeah. So if I'm going to explain to my kids, let's see how this goes. I'm going to explain to my kids that we're going to take the shoes and go bring them to the shoemaker to fix them up, and you're going to wear them for 2 more years, whatever it is. So the other thing you talk about during your upbringing is just the importance and the mindset around education. Tell me more about that and how that has influenced you today.
I was probably blessed, I guess, just fairly intelligent. I wouldn't consider myself very intelligent, but I get enough IQ, I guess, to my parents were literally fifth grade education. So I literally had to learn my own kind of things. Nobody there to push me besides kind of their encouragement. Yeah, you get a degree, go to school, kind of that encouragement. I was very lucky to have my uncles and my aunts. They're all educated. Kind of spent a lot of time with them. They're older. It was great models to have. Like had been kind of exposed to like English literature like an early age, to like philosophy, to literature, kind of a lot of it was great hanging out with them when I was like in early teens, having role models that kind of really with college degrees and law degrees, kind of just always kind of really sucked into that. That was great energy to be around. So, but I was blessed with enough intelligence kind of just to make it on my own without much support, if it makes any sense. I mean, my parents gave me the love and enough food and enough clothes, but the rest of it is clearly kind of just being blessed, I guess, with enough IQ.
So I want to talk about that. I know you have your how old's your son? I should have said that.
My son is 11 years old.
So 11 years old. So how, like, he's in a different spot, and I mean, we're going to talk about your business and the success you've had, but I just want to compare the two a little bit because there's such, I look back at my childhood versus our kids and they're different, but your difference is dramatic, right? So how do you, I think at the end of the day, parenting, love and time, food and clothes, like that's what you need, right? And if you give those things, the kids can have whatever, that's all they really, really need. But you're in a different spot now. Like, how do you think about your upbringing and how does that impact your parenting philosophy today, if I can ask that?
Well, I think like in the Western world, or at least an entrepreneurial world, so for all of us kind of that have enough means to kind of spoil our kids, like clearly kind of that instinct. I never want my son to suffer or to go through what I got through. But if you really think deeper about it, with adversity comes growth. That's how clearly people are shaped. So how do you define that balance? Like, a lot of parents struggle with this. How do you kind of give them what they need, what they want? Not they want, what they need. Same time, make them keep them hungry and driven. And literally what I think I've done fairly about my wife and I, not just me, enough the job for not spoiling our son. I mean, we play good cop, bad cop. I'm the good cop. My wife is the bad cop. Is the top strict.
Lucky you. Look at you, Mo.
But it's literally my I was driving my son to school this morning. He's working on a spreadsheet. He's a 5th grade. So him and somebody else at school, they're working on selling snacks because he needs to make money. So literally kind of entrepreneur already. Kind of he's looking for ways to make money. He's like, I have to make money. I'm like, what do you make money for? He's like, well, I want to buy. He wants to buy stuff like jerseys and sneakers and stuff. Well, whatever you make, it's a third. A 30 can play with, 30 can save, 30 can donate. So he understands if he wants to get a $50 shoe, whatever that may be, just make $150 so he can do that third.
Wow.
Keep it grounded in a way.
Yeah. First, this is interesting because, gosh, if my daughter hears this, but this morning we're having a conversation. She's getting ready for school. So first we're like, hey, you're old enough. You can get ready for school yourself. Like, you can set your alarm. You need to take the responsibility. Then she's like, we live, I don't know, a half mile walk from the school, really close. She's old enough where the traffic isn't a big deal. And I'm like, if you're not on time, you are walking. Your mom is not driving you to school. You will be walking. And she's like, it's so easy. It's right there. I'm like, then get up earlier. Like, it would be so easy for us to drive. And guess what? She figured it out. She made the bus on time because I think she thought I was serious. And I told my wife, I just said, we have to make her do that. We have to make her walk one time because then she'll figure out the response. It is. Is my approach to it always the best? Probably not, Mo, but I think I agree that we have to, this is everybody listening. This is all of society. We have to allow our kids to go through adversity because the nature, if you have the opportunity to even be listening to a discussion like this, then you're probably wealthy relative to the rest of the world, right? So putting our kids in adverse situations and challenges, I think, is important. I want to talk about your message to your kids because I wonder what your philosophy is on this, if I can ask. A third to play with, a third to save, and a third to donate. That's a pretty significant you talk about giving. That's a big number. So I just want to give credit to you for that. Tell me more about how you came up with that.
To be honest with you, I have no idea how we came up with that formula. I'm sure we just stole from somebody. It's like early on, we had this little piggy banks when he was like a 1 or 2. We always had his 3 piggy banks. It was like whatever money he gets from whoever he gets it, just a third. And it's how we kept it for simplicity. Just sure that'll evolve and it'll change, I'm sure. But it's how we done it so far. So
yeah. Well, I love that.
Who knows?
And good for, honestly, it's again, just good for you for how you're doing that. So I didn't want to, it resonated with me, even the conversation of how different your childhood would have been to your sons, and just being, I would say, disciplined about your approach, because we do want to spoil our kids, and that's fun. That's easy. We want to kind of spoil ourselves by doing that in a way, but it's not the best thing for them, right? The measure of success isn't how much we spoil them now. It's what kind of adults and human beings they become long-term. So tell me more about your story now. So your childhood in Morocco, your dad was an entrepreneur, so you kind of had that blood a little bit, if you will. You focused on education. When did you move? What did that all look like?
Well, moved right after high school. We went to the DC area, like in Fairfax, Virginia. So just to move, then applied to a community college, and went to college for about 3 years, and I never finished my degree. I was literally working full time, going to school full time, and still finding time to party on weekends. It was a lot. So it was literally, oh, yeah. It was a blast. When people complain about work, but I didn't know the naivete is my best thing. Like, wow, I'm in the US. It's like I'm in heaven, like it's paradise. Like, I get to work, I get to have money, I get to go to school, I get to play at night and have fun with friends. So I didn't know any better, and I just say, like, ignorance is bliss. It's all I do. And I didn't have a choice. Like, this is like literally kind of, and on top of that, I still have to save money to send back home to help support. Like my story on my LinkedIn profile, like literally my aunt sold her jewelry to be able to, for me, I can buy a plane ticket and have some spending money. I had like $70, $80 left after buying a plane ticket. So literally you had to pay that back and then also keep supporting the family.
Yeah. So you you started college, you didn't finish, but and then you started working more and more. Like what are let's fast forward through it.
I've always worked. I mean, I've always worked always worked in restaurants. So it was like kind of festival hours. It was always the quickest way to make money without having to work 8-10 hours. 4 or 5 hours and make $100. So that's a lot of money back in the 90s. That was a lot of money in the day. So, and that's how I get then about 10 years into it, maybe less than 5 years into it, I got recruited by one of my clients at the restaurant who had an abstract company to do title search in the courthouse. His name is Joe Wood. Was one of early mentors to me. He was like a regular for about 4, 5, 6 months. And he like, hey, why don't you come work for me to do abstract? What is an abstract? Like, I'll read the title. I'm like, what's the title? I have no clue what it is. Because so you expect me to leave a cash tip to go and get like a salary or hourly raise? I have no idea what that means. But he was so kind enough that he was great to me. So I ended up doing it and I crushed it. I was kind of literally just to I don't know, he was one of the top employees at the company. But there was no room for growth. It was always entrepreneurial. I was always like late nights watching those infomercials. Those back in the day, now it's all on YouTube, like or TikTok. Back in the day, it was infomercials on late night TVs, trying to sell you these courses and real estate, you name it. And maxed out so many credit cards and all these courses that never worked. So I tried so many things that have failed.
So I think, sorry to cut you off there, but first of all, I think it's important, if you're business owners, always paying attention to, if you go out to eat or anywhere you go and just paying attention to the server, the waiter. By the way, I think working in the service industry for younger listeners perhaps is a great way to really build your customer service muscle, if you will. And I would say that when you're younger, like you didn't know it at the time, I don't think, but while you were working at the restaurants, you were building your personal brand with other people by how you showed up, how you smiled, how you communicated, all those different things, right? That first boss of yours in the title business recognized something about you just through who you were. So I think for our younger listeners, really everyone, you're always building your personal brand and other people are always seeing that. That's what I tell young people, because whether you're being intentional about it or not, it's building. So you might as well be intentional about it because you never know who's really watching. So that's a pretty cool story, but you're entrepreneurial. So you start the title company a few years later, and what happens from there?
Yeah, so there was the room for growth within the abstract company. So it was a family. Joe's brother was there, his best friend and bunch of friends. There was really no room for leadership or for growth. So about 3 or 4 years into it, I branched outside my own abstract company, did that Metro title, did that for 3 or 4 more years. Then there was a natural progression. In 2001, I just launched the title Metro company in the DC area. And we've grown that. It was very lucky. Like when we started, kind of the rates were down and we kind of had a good wave. We had a great time to start. And then right in 2008 with the financial crash, then we literally kind of, it was very tough. We had to lay off so many people. Then we start gradually growing again. And then, but the rocket fuel for us was COVID. we're very lucky to move to the clouds early on, like about 4 or 5 years earlier. So when COVID happened, everybody had to go back home and work. We're prepared for that. And also we started offshoring about 4 or 5 years earlier as well, like in 17, 18. So we're like literally perfectly positioned to take advantage of that kind of that massive overflow of business that kind of helped us to like literally triple, quadruple our business in 2021.
So I want to ask you a question about the size of your business today, because I want to help people understand that, so that when I go back to what it took to grow and scale, they understand that. So what does your business look like today? And then we'll go back a little bit.
We're a low 8-figure company. So we'll probably do about 5,000-6,000 transactions a year as far as closing the year.
So a lot of transactions every single week. So this is not a small business, a lot of employees, a lot of transactions. So just to put this in perspective, so take me back to, so first of all, one thing I heard is that you really focused on technology and investments in technology and understanding technology to learn, to scale, to grow. So just for the business owners today, are you just staying connected to technology? Do you have resources to help you learn those things? I think that's important. But I want to go to like interpersonal, leadership. What other things outside of technology do you think have been the keys to your success and to your growth and the ability to scale your business?
Probably the number one thing is really always working on myself. Like I kind of just to always been thirsty and hungry for learning. Was unconscious about it, but then later in life, look what it was probably the biggest thing. I got introduced to Tony Robbins 30 years ago. That was like, wow. Like that was the best thing ever, ordering that personal power 30-day course. So I was like, for the first time, I believe that I can achieve anything in life. Like literally going from a mindset of, hey, waiter, we're doing whatever, to like believing I can achieve anything in life. It's just all about how, I just was a mind shift. Then I've been clearly followed Tony, Zig Ziglar, you name all the personal growth and personal development kind of the who's who read. I'm a sponge. I always read, I always learn podcasts, conferences, workshops, seminars, you name it. Like something I was kind of really hungry for and thirsty for knowledge.
And I would just say that, for our listeners, just listen to that, because what I heard, Mo, is Tony Robbins 30 years ago. I cannot imagine the compound effect over a 30-year time period of that, just getting that exposure to him at that point in time, and then just being thirsty and being a sponge, as you said. So if you're 20 years old, some people say, like, what should my first investment look like? And they don't love my answer. It's in yourself. It has to be in yourself. If it's a course, it might be a silly course. It could be a great course that changes your life. You don't know. So there's all kinds of content online, all kinds of education now online. You can find it on just podcasts, YouTube, wherever. But there's so many phenomenal books of successful people that you can learn from. So invest in yourself. And like a book is $15 or $20. If it has one little influence on your life, it's so worth it. Just buy it. People say, hey, can I share this? Like, just buy the book. Support the person that wrote it and just buy the book, right? But just investing in yourself first is so important. And if you're 20, if you're 30, if you're 40, if you're listening to this, you're probably doing that, right? You're probably consuming content, consuming information, and trying to learn. But I would just encourage you to do more of it, because the compound effect for you over 10 or 20 or 30 years can be extremely profound. So I appreciate you pointing that out, Mo, and just really always working on yourself. What else? I mean, so you're working on yourself. So let's talk the business. What did that lead you to doing with your business? Like, what are the major things you learned that you applied to your business?
And it's learning. It's always learning. It's probably the best school is the school of hard knocks. The settings, as I said earlier, like literally ignorance is bliss. Sometimes what you don't, if you know if I knew what I know now back then, I might have never started this. But not knowing, kind of just learn and to go, or making mistakes, and how through literally grit, drive, and dreams of kind of scaling the company to like a 9-figure. That's ultimate goal, and just kind of making mistakes along the way, and hopefully you're not making fatal mistakes. We make tons of mistakes, and kind of just to literally get hopefully they're not put you out of business, and literally the power of delegation, just to kind of surround yourself with the strong people that can literally kind of help implement your vision, execute on your your initiatives and your plan and strategy.
So what just you said the word delegation. What would you say is what is your leadership style? How would you explain that to someone?
My leadership style is more of the carrot than a stick. I wish it did more of a stick. But it's really more of a carrot. Kind of really my philosophy: hiring grown-ups and treat them like grown-ups. Let them be adults. That's part of my philosophy. Like, just hire good people and let them do their thing. I don't believe in micromanagement. I wish I was more micromanaged sometimes, but that's not who I am. Just hiring it's the who, not how. Have amazing who's, and then just to let them do their thing.
Yeah, I think if you have, first of all, if you have to be micromanaging, right, then maybe you don't have the right people. And it's all about hiring great people, right? And then the who, not how. And there's a lot of ways to get the right people and a lot of resources and tools to help identify those people. And I think, Mo, my suspicion is, like you talked about, maybe sometimes I wish I micromanaged more, or I wish I used a stick. I think those things could have served you in different situations in the short term and made individual situations better. But I also don't think the size of your business, the scale of your business, the success you've had, if you did that consistently over time, you would not be where you are today, right? And it's really more about the carrot and getting the right people, taking care of those people, than it is the stick. And I in the corporate world, I saw people that completely managed with the stick, and they could get results done and really, really fast, and it just wasn't and isn't sustainable. So
was the other thing Tony Robbins, to be real quick about, Tony Robbins talks about the power of the pull versus the push. Like, if you to go long ways of pulling people towards you versus kind of trying to push. Like, push takes a lot of effort. The pull is more kind of attracting that energy, attracting people towards you. That takes you a longer way. It's more powerful than the push.
Yeah. So carrot and the pull. So let's talk about that. So how do you pull them? What are you doing? What are the key elements? What do you have to be doing to bring them for them to want to follow?
Literally being fair, kind, and treat them like adults with respect. Like, I don't think I ever raised my voice or yelled that. There'd be like people should have want to kill them. But I would never gonna raise my voice or yell at him. That's probably goes a long ways. You have to really control your emotions, control how people perceive you. This goes a long ways.
Yeah, I love the quote from John Maxwell: "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." Right? And if you what I love about your answer, honestly, is there is a lot of different strategies we could talk about to leadership. There's a lot of them, but at the end of the day, if you're just fair, kind, respect, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you show that, they will get their stuff done. And they need training, they need support. There's all kinds of things we could talk about. But if you keep it simple and take that approach, I think you can be really, really successful. I want to also talk about, you talked about before, and I didn't come back to it, but you talked about dreams and like your dreams, visions, big picture, what you wanted the business to look like. But you also and then you talked about growth and education. But you talked about the school of hard knocks. And I think what's important is for people to understand you can get, I think you need to get clear on what you want. You need to educate yourself. I think associating with others is important, and this is part of the purpose matrix, but you got to have the courage to act. Once you get the conviction and a little bit of education, you got to act. And I think when you have education with action, there's this do loop of confidence and other things, like a lot of positive things that happen. It gives you more education, which gives you the conviction to act more. And there's this virtuous positive cycle that happens. So how have you combined those two? Are you constantly trying to do both together?
Can you reframe the question? Let me make sure I understand it clearly.
Yeah. So just the combination of education and action and how you bring those two together to build kind of confidence and conviction.
Well, again, I keep going back to Tony Robbins. The ultimate power is in action. Like, he can talk all he wants, can have the best plans, he can have the best strategy, and until you act, nothing happens. So literally kind of, it's just to taking massive action, making mistakes, and learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward. Yeah. Like we made so many mistakes. I mean, I can't write a book. Wrong hires, wrong mistakes, wrong. But you keep plugging. You wake up with a smile and keep moving forward, keep taking action towards. Like last three, we're in the fourth year of recession, like in real estate. Most people don't not even aware of it. Like today is the Thursday, April the 3rd, and I think the market is crashing, like because of all the tariffs. But our business, like literally fourth year recession, and like it's been very brutal, like testing my resolve. And like, how do you wake up with a smile when the world is like, seems like it's ended sometimes, but how do you keep moving forward, keep taking action and towards kind of hopefully the goals of the market turning around.
Yeah. And I think on the ultimate power is the action. I think if you're the person like maybe I am, where I overthink and overanalyze, I have to be telling myself, take action, be smart about it, but take action, right? If you're the person that takes action blindly and just goes, make sure you're prioritizing education with the action too. And I'll just say, Mo, that I think the thing that stands out for you that you didn't talk about on the pull versus push, because you're very humble, is you just have an energy, an attitude, smile to you that is very, very contagious. And I'm sure your employees in your organization see that. So I want to ask today, you've had all this success. How do you define success? What does that mean to you?
Man, it's a loaded question. Success. It's as entrepreneurs or maybe just human beings, I guess. Like the one thing is very hard for me to really stop and think that I'm successful, because it's always the grind, the cycles, the up and down. Like right now, I feel like to be honest with you, I feel like I'm a failure. I'm maybe smiling, but like, hey, what if we run out of cash? What if we don't make it? What if like just there's so many negative thoughts? But how do you stay positive? But compared to what I was 30 years ago, compared to most people, I'm very blessed. But for me, maybe that ongoing hunger, maybe that drive, that's kind of always seeking more, whatever they may be. I know a lot of people, it's very challenging, especially in the Western world. We never know what enough is, what it is. So we always kind of a quest. It's a game to chase. Like it's best way to describe it. It's keep on going. It's never ending.
But isn't it, for you, it seems like, just to tie it back to the beginning part of the story and education and just being a sponge, I think you're just really curious. Like you're really curious to see, just to keep leaning in, to keep going and to find out, okay, who you are, what are you made of? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep testing myself to figure that out. Do you think, even if you don't know what that end game looks like, you're just naturally driven to keep going and to find that out, it seems like?
Yeah, it's really just the way I'm wired. You really have to understand yourself, how you're wired, what drives you. Like when it's all about growth. Like literally, like one of my tagline is like helping people become a better version of themselves, including myself. Like how to get better, like physically, financially, spiritually. How to get you get a lot of juice from growth. And as the adage goes, if you're not growing, you're dying, kind of thing. Like literally, it's actually true. Like just how I'm wired. I feel like juiced. I feel like energized when I'm kind of moving forward. Like when I was running operations of the company, I was kind of drained. Kind of was really kind of dying inside. But now I'm in higher conversations, all about growth, all about kind of partnerships, M&A, joint ventures, recruiting. It's all about growth. It's just kind of, it excites me. It's not work to me. If that makes any sense.
It does, and I want to hit a couple of things here. So, first of all, going back to leadership again, you're being humble, but like you're focusing on how do I help people be better versions of themselves. I'm sure you're doing with employees. You're having those types of conversations. You're challenging them, and you said even not just from a professional perspective, but spiritual, physical, whatever it might be. But the other thing you just said, I'm connecting the dots to something you said a little bit ago too. You used the word rocket fuel, and you said you were drained in operations, but now you're doing more of the visionary role. So if you're familiar with, Gino Wickman wrote the book Rocket Fuel, and it's all about understanding yourself and really what you enjoy doing. And a lot of time there can be founders or owners that are really good operational people. He calls them integrators. Mo is talking about himself as the visionary, and I think he's probably found integrator or integrators to operate and run his business that enjoy doing that. And he is now prospering because he's worked to understand himself, what he enjoys doing, and he's loving it. And because of it, he's a better leader and bringing more energy to the whole organization because of it. So tell me, was that book that brought you to that recognition, or how did you work through that process?
Yeah, I would say books, not just book. I mean, Rocket Fuel, I probably read that 10 years ago, maybe less. But the original book was the EMIT. That was the first one, like the Gerber, I guess.
Yeah.
How do you build a company, not a job? A lot of people go into business for the wrong reasons. Then they buy a job, not a business. So kind of they all the same kind of concept, how to build systems and processes and people. But the whole integrator, I'm a big believer in having like the COO, integrator, director of operations, whatever that term is, somebody can handle kind of the execution person. And literally the person, her name is Hope. She's incredible. She's started off with a company about 13, 14 years ago as a front desk person. And like now she runs the company operation. She's incredible. But she's a sponge as well. She's kind of learned and listened and kind of molded. But a lot of it has to do with her because she's just a sponge and she always learning. And so it's amazing to have kind of that right-hand person.
How much do you think, so we hosted a business leaders lunch for local business leaders in our area in the last couple of weeks. And we had this discussion about, okay, what are the true roles of a leader? And we talked about vision, culture, and then, acquisitions, deal flow, business development, revenue growth, like strategic sales, things like that is the third one. So again, vision, culture, and growth were the three elements. What we didn't say was one of them was operations and execution and just getting things done. But there was some dialogue that, no, I, as the CEO, as the president of the company, I need to show that I'm doing that as well. Do you need to show that? Do you need to be doing that? Or how would you explain that to that person that
Well, maybe early on you have to. Like when you're 1, 2, 3 person company, everybody's wearing so many hats. When you have a 100-person company, then you just can't. I mean, Hope will run circles around me. Like it's like not even. It's a mismatch. I can't even come close to what she can do.
Does the organization understand? I think for me, what it comes down to is your people understanding that there are different roles. And the most value that you, Mo, can bring to the company is communicating the vision and where we're going, building the culture of the organization through your leadership, through your energy, through just caring, all the things we talked about, and then the strategic sales and business development items. That is the biggest impact you can have. So you need to focus on that. So you need others to focus on the execution. It's just helping people I'm not disappearing. I'm not doing nothing. I'm doing really big needle movers that helps us get to what our vision is.
Well, the best example, where has Elon been? Elon Musk for the last 2 or 3 months. Company's still running. I mean, I'm not comparing myself. In my opinion, is the best entrepreneur of all time. Love him or hate him, it's relevant. But I've never seen anybody build $5, $6, $7 billion companies. It's just insane. Anybody build a business. So literally, you don't have to do the vision. It's by the most important part is the vision. And the second thing is by the execution. You can have all the vision in the world, you can have all the goals and all the dreams. If you don't execute, everything is just, they say ideas are a dime a dozen. It's all about execution.
Mo, you are the Moroccan Elon. Don't let anybody else tell you any different. So without a doubt, you are the Moroccan Elon. But honestly, there is different phases of your business, and recognizing that you're going to be operational when you're starting. But I think the earlier you recognize you can't always be doing that, the better. So you start to put the right people in the right seats. You start to build the right systems and processes in place to enable you to do more of the high-level CEO type things, and then step into operations less and less over time to where then you can hire someone to do that, because you don't get that benefit of always doing that right away. But you can't use that as the operations as an excuse to not be doing vision, culture, and business development, in my opinion. So thank you for confirming what my opinion is. And we'll see if that person listens and if he agrees or disagrees. Mo, we're wrapping up here, and this has been a great discussion. I want you to just step back and think about what you've done, just from your childhood to where you are now, the business you've built, the people you've impacted with your leadership. How does what you do, how does it make you feel?
I feel very fulfilled, if that makes it. It's been a dream, and it's a quest. It's a never-ending quest. Literally, I don't plan on retiring ever. I know a lot of mentors that are in the 70s, 80s that are still working because they feel, as they say, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Kind of think, so if you enjoy what you're doing, if you enjoy the growth, so I'm ecstatic. I mean, I wish things were better financially right now. So we're a little downturn. This is the fourth year I said earlier, but if I died tomorrow, that was a big smile on my face. Just very, very blessed and grateful for the people around me, for all the people that helped me, for the Gold Abundance community, and for all my friends and family. And
I love it. Well, Mo, thank you so much for coming on. I just appreciate it so much. I've learned so much from this discussion, and I said it, but I just appreciate your sincerity, your authenticity, your attitude, and I can just tell. I mean, you're very humble, but the leadership you bring to your organization, your understanding of what your true role is, even getting into the personal discussions on parenting and the perspective that you took from Morocco on how you're raising your kids. We covered a lot of great ground, and I appreciate you coming on so much. How can people find out more about you?
Probably the best way is in my LinkedIn profile, Mo Choumil, or visit the company at alltechnational.com.
Awesome, Mo. Again, I thank you so much for coming on. A lot of value to our listeners. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you're getting value out of this. If you can, please leave a review, subscribe to our show. We just appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
In a world where change is the only constant, Mo Choumil stands at the forefront, guiding title professionals to not just grow their businesses, but to master the art of innovation. With every episode, you're handed the keys to unlock unparalleled growth and stay ahead of the curve. Get ready for a transformative journey